listening to the Holy Bible 1-Year Challenge with Master Storyteller Michael Wood, featuring the easy-to-read version and used by permission from Bible League International. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 22. We're continuing in the book of Genesis and the narrative of Joseph, who is now the governor in all of Egypt. And in order for us to really understand chapters 43 and 44, we have to get the concept of putting the money in the sacks of grain that his brothers bought to bring back home to their father. It's hard to explain in modern terms. It would be like if you went to the grocery store and you went to give the cashier your cash, but instead you put the cash back in the shopping bag. Now, I don't know how anyone would do such a thing, but let's just say you did. So you walk out of the store and go home, you have the stuff you bought plus the cash that you used to buy it. So the place lost not only their goods, but they lost the money as well. And in that way, you're stealing from them. Well, this is the concept that's at play when Joseph tries to trap his brothers, and he's testing them to see if they've repented. And in this narrative, Judah comes to the table and pleads his case before Joseph. And remember, none of the brothers know that Joseph is their long-lost brother, who they sold into slavery. And we're continuing in the New Testament in the book of Matthew. An interesting situation happens where this lady, who's not a Jew, asks for Jesus to heal her. And Jesus makes an interesting comment. He says that he's here to save the lost sheep of Israel, that he's really not here for her or for anyone else who's not Jewish. So it seems like the door is closed to people who aren't Jewish right now. And then we know in the Bible later on this door opens. But there's this exclusivity that Jesus is suggesting. However, because she's faithful, because she sees Jesus as Lord, just like the centurion that we saw in an earlier chapter who was not Jewish either, but because they had faith in Jesus, they were able to receive his healing power. And in the meantime, Jesus also feeds another 4,000 people. This story might seem familiar, as if it just happened. Well, it's happening again. I can imagine if there was a modern day flyer, it would say, 3-day workshop with Jesus of Nazareth. Food will be provided. If you enjoy the show, visit me at patreon.com/storymaster. You'll find the link in the description box below. By contributing as little as $1 per month, you will enable me to continue this ministry, and you'll get cool rewards too. Together, we're going to get through the Bible in 1 year. Let's get started. Genesis chapter 43. Jacob's sons returned to Egypt. The famine was very bad in the land of Canaan. The people ate all the grain they had brought from Egypt. When that grain was gone, Jacob said to his sons,
"Go to Egypt and buy some more grain for us to eat."
But Judah said to Jacob,
"The governor of that land warned us. He said,
if you don't bring your brother back to me, I will refuse to talk to you.
if you send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy grain. But if you refuse to send Benjamin, we will not go. The man warned us not to come back without him."
Israel said,
"Why did you tell him you had another brother? It caused me so much trouble."
The brothers answered,
"He asked us lots of questions. He wanted to know all about us and about our family. He asked us, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' We only answered his questions. We didn't know he would ask us to bring our brother to him."
Then Judah said to his father,
"Let Benjamin go with me, and we will leave at once for Egypt. We must get the food we need to keep us, you, and all our children alive. I will make sure he is safe. I myself will be responsible for him. If I don't bring him back to you, you can blame me the rest of my life. If you had let us go earlier, we could have already made 2 trips there and back."
Finally, their father said,
If this is what must happen, then I want you to do this and take some gifts to the governor. Fill your bags with some of the best things we have in our land. Take him some balm, some honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take twice as much money with you this time. You must return the money that was put in your sacks after you paid last time. Maybe it was a mistake. Now, take Benjamin and leave right away to go see the man. I pray that God all-powerful will be kind to you when you stand before the governor. I pray he will let Benjamin and Simeon come back with you. But if I must lose my children, I must face the loss.
So the brothers took the gifts to give to the governor. They also took twice as much money as they had taken the first time, and they took Benjamin. They hurried down to Egypt, where they again came before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he gave orders to the servant in charge of his house. He said, "Bring these men into my house. Kill an animal and prepare a meal. They will eat with me today at noon." The servant did as he was told. He took the men to Joseph's house. When the brothers were taken to Joseph's house, they began to feel afraid. They thought,
We have been brought here because of the money that was put back into our sacks the last time. He will use this as a reason to arrest us, make us slaves, and take our donkeys.
So the brothers went to the servant in charge of Joseph's house and spoke to him outside the door. And they said,
Please, sir, let us explain something. We came here once before to buy food. On the way home, when we stopped for the night, we opened our sacks and found all the money we had paid. We have brought that money back to you. We don't know who put that money in our sacks. And now we have brought more money to pay for the food we want to buy this time.
but the servant answered,
It's all right. Don't be afraid. Believe me, your God, the God of your father, must have put the money in your sacks. I remember that you paid me for the grain.
Then the servant brought Simeon out to them. The servant took the men into Joseph's house. He gave them water, and they washed their feet. Then he fed their donkeys. The brothers had heard they were going to eat with Joseph at noon, so they prepared their gifts to give to him when he arrived. When Joseph came home, the brothers gave him the gifts they had brought with them and bowed down to the ground in front of him. Joseph asked them how they were doing, and then he said, "How is your elderly father you told me about? Is he still alive?" The brothers answered,
Yes, your servant, our father, is still alive and well.
And they again bowed before Joseph to show their respect. Then Joseph saw his brother Benjamin, whose mother was the same as his. He said, "Is this your youngest brother you told me about?" Then he said to Benjamin, "God bless you, my son." Suddenly, the love he felt for his brother made him feel like crying. So he hurried into his private room and cried there. After washing his face, he came out. Keeping his feelings under control, he said, "Now, it is time to eat." The servant seated Joseph at a table by himself. His brothers were at another table, and the Egyptians were at a table by themselves. The Egyptians believed it was wrong for them to eat with Hebrews. Joseph's brothers were seated at a table facing him. The brothers were looking at each other because, to their surprise, they had been seated in order from the oldest to the youngest. Servants were taking food from Joseph's table to them, but the servants gave Benjamin 5 times more than the other. The brothers continued to eat and drink with Joseph until they were all happily drunk. Genesis chapter 44. Joseph sets a trap for his brother. Then Joseph gave a command to the servant in charge of his house. He said, "Fill the men's sacks with as much grain as they can carry. Then put each man's money into his sack with the grain. Put the youngest brother's money in his sack too. Also, put my special silver cup in his sack." The servant did what Joseph told him. Early the next morning, the brothers were sent on their way back home with their donkeys. After they had left the city, Joseph said to his servant, "Go after these men. When you catch up with them, say this: 'Why did you pay back our kindness to you by doing something bad to us? Why did you steal my master's silver cup? My master drinks from that cup, and he uses it to learn secrets about the future. This was a terrible thing you did.'" So the servant chased after the brothers and caught up with them. He said to them what Joseph had told him to say. But they said,
Sir, why are you saying these things to us? We would never do anything like that. We came all the way from Canaan to bring back the money we found in our sacks. So surely we would not steal silver or gold from your master's house. We are your servants. You can look in our sacks. If any of us has the cup, let that man die, and the rest of us will be your slaves.
the servant said.
I agree, but only the man who stole the cup will be my slave. The others will be free.
So each brother quickly put his sack on the ground and opened it. Joseph's servant started looking in the sacks. He started with the oldest brother and ended with the youngest. He found the cup in Benjamin's sack. The brothers were so upset, they began tearing their clothes. They put their sacks back on the donkeys and went back to the city. When Judah and his brothers arrived at Joseph's house, Joseph was still there. The brothers threw themselves to the ground, bowing before him. Joseph said to them, "Why have you done this? Didn't you know that someone like me has ways of learning secrets?" Judah said,
Sir, there is nothing we can say. There is no way to explain. There is no way to show that we are not guilty. God has judged us guilty for something else we have done. So all of us, even Benjamin, will be your slaves.
But Joseph said, "I will not make you all slaves. Only the man who stole the cup will be my slave. You others can go in peace to your father." Judah pleads for Benjamin. Judah went to Joseph and said,
My master, I know you have as much power as the king himself. I am your servant, but I ask you to let me speak plainly to you. Please don't be angry with me. When we were here before, you asked us, do you have a father or another brother? And we answered, our father is still living, but he is very old. And we have a younger brother who was born when our father was already an old man. His mother had another son who is dead, so he is her only living son. And our father loves him very much. Then you said to us, bring that brother to me. I want to see him. And we said, he cannot come. If the boy leaves home, his father will die. But you said to us, you must bring your youngest brother, or I will not sell you any more grain. So we went back to our father and told him what you said. Later our father said,
Go back and buy us some more food.
We told him, we cannot go without our youngest brother. If he is not with us, they will not allow us to see the governor." Then my father said,
You know that my wife Rachel gave me only 2 sons. When one son went away and did not return, I said he must have been torn to pieces by a wild animal, and I never saw him again. If you take this son away from me now and something happens to him, you would send me to my grave a very sad old man.
"Now, imagine what will happen if we go home without our youngest brother. He is the most important thing in our father's life. If he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. We, your servants, will be guilty of sending our father to his grave, a very sad old man. I took responsibility for the boy. I told my father, if I don't bring him back to you, you can blame me for the rest of my life. So now, my master, please let me stay here as your slave in place of the boy, and let him go back home with his brothers. I cannot go back to my father if the boy is not with me. It would be too hard for me to see my father in such pain."
Matthew chapter 15, verses 10 to 39. Jesus called the people to him. He said, "Listen and understand what I am saying. What you put into your mouth is not what causes God to reject you. Rather, the evil words that come from your mouth are what make you displeasing to him." Then the followers came to Jesus and asked, "Do you know the Pharisees are upset about what you said?" Jesus answered, "Every plant that my Father in heaven has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Stay away from the Pharisees. They are leaders of the people, but they are like blind men leading others who are blind. And if a blind man leads another who is blind, they will both fall into a ditch." Peter said,
"Explain to us what you said earlier to the people."
Jesus said, "Do you still have trouble understanding? Surely you know that all the food that enters the mouth goes into the stomach. From there it goes out of the body. But the bad things you say with your mouth come from the way you think, and that's what can make you displeasing to God. All these bad things begin in the mind: evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual sins, stealing, lying, and insulting people. These are the things that make you displeasing to God. Eating without washing your hands will never cause God to reject you." Jesus went from there to the area of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that area came out and began shouting,
"Lord, Son of David, please help me. My daughter has a demon inside her, and she is suffering very much."
But Jesus did not answer her. So the followers came to him and said,
Tell her to go away. She keeps crying out and will not leave us alone.
Jesus answered, "God sent me only to his lost sheep, the people of Israel." Then the woman came over to Jesus and bowed down before him. She said,
"Lord, help me."
He answered her with the saying, "It is not right to take the children's bread and give it to the dogs." The woman said,
"Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the pieces of food that fall from their master's table."
Then Jesus answered, "Woman, your faith is amazing. You will get what you asked for." And right then, the woman's daughter was healed. Then Jesus went from there to the shore of Lake Galilee. He went up into the hills and sat down. A large crowd of people came to him. They brought many other sick people and put them before him. There were people who could not walk, people who were blind, paralyzed, or deaf, and many others. Jesus healed them all. The people were amazed, and when they saw that those who could not speak were now able to speak, paralyzed people were made strong, those who could not walk were now able to walk, the blind were able to see. Everyone thanked the God of Israel for this. Jesus called his followers to him and said, "I feel sorry for these people. They have been with me for 3 days, and now they have nothing to eat. I don't want to send them away hungry. They might faint on the way home." The followers asked Jesus,
Where can we get enough bread to feed all these people? We're a long way from any town.
Jesus asked, "How many loaves of bread do you have?" They answered, "We have 7 loaves of bread and a few small fish." Jesus told the people to sit on the ground. He took the 7 loaves of bread and the fish, and he gave thanks to God for the food. He broke the bread into pieces, which he gave to the followers, and they gave the food to the people. All the people ate until they were full. After this, the followers filled 7 baskets with the pieces of food that were not eaten. There were about 4,000 men there who ate. There were also some women and children. After they had all eaten, Jesus told the people they could go home. He got into the boat and went to the area of Magadan. Psalm chapter 13, verses 1 through 6. For the music director, a Psalm of David. How long will you forget me, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you refuse to look at me? How long must I wonder if you have forgotten me and feel this sadness in my heart all the time? How long will my enemy win against me? Lord my God, look at me and give me an answer. Make me feel strong again, or I will die. Then my enemy will say, I have won. He will be so happy to see me defeated. But I trust in your faithful love. I will be happy when you save me. Then I will sing to the Lord, because he was so good to me. Thank you, everyone. That was day 22. Join us for day 23. Joseph makes a final judgment on his brothers, which causes Jacob to leave his home and to go to Egypt himself. And in the book of Matthew, people begin to doubt the authority of Jesus, and his followers misunderstand him. And then Jesus reveals his true identity. We hope you enjoyed today's verses. Be sure to leave us a positive review and to share this podcast with your friends and family. Please join us for the next episode as we experience the Bible in 1 year.
Did you know we offer online courses in creative writing, literature, and web design? Visit us at storymaster.online to learn more.